Hey, this is Stu Schaefer, and I'm going to explain how to reverse insulin resistance naturally and quickly, especially if you're a woman over 50 and in menopause. Now, this is going to be really fun because I'm going to give you 5 easy steps, and oh look, there's a bonus step at the end too. So you're going to want to listen to all these steps. They're critical, they're easy, they're fast, and anyone can do these. Let me show you what can happen when you do. I had a client named Stacy. Now, Stacy had tried to do low-carb diets and high-fat diets like keto and Atkins because she had heard that that would actually reverse insulin resistance, and it did not. It made it worse. Now, if that sounds a little confusing, you definitely want to watch my other video about how keto diets can cause insulin resistance. I'll put a little card up at the top of the screen that you can click, and it'll open a new tab, and you can check that out. But Stacy came to me, we added carbs, but what we did was we also applied these 5, technically 6 steps, and within a matter of months, she had reversed her insulin resistance, her blood sugar completely stabilized, and she lost over 12 pounds of body fat around her waist. And you can definitely see, and we'll put the picture up here, about how her stomach shrank and flattened out, and it was absolutely incredible. So let's get into these steps. First step, you've got to understand how to combine the right foods at each meal. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Now I'm going to keep this video short, so I'm just going to go over brief synopsis. You want to like, share, and subscribe to my channel because we'll go over all of these in depth in the future. We're going to create some amazing videos here, so you definitely want to stick around. But the combination of foods, you have proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and vegetables. And yes, vegetables are different than carbohydrates, but the combination of foods at each meal is critical. Certain foods will increase hormones like glucagon that are opposite to insulin. Certain foods will increase insulin. Actually, all foods will increase insulin. It's just how long it takes them to do that. We're going to talk about some things about fats you probably don't know. So when you combine the right foods at each meal, you can level out your blood sugar or at least prevent some of these spikes. It's also vital that you get enough nutrients so that the body doesn't go into starvation mode and so that you don't accidentally shut down your thyroid. I can't get into the specifics because it's a little bit different for everyone. It depends on your age, your gender, your weight, your height, how much body fat you have, how much muscle you have, if you have any food sensitivities, gut issues, autoimmune. We're going to talk about some of these things, but you've got to get the right foods. Now that's number one, combination, the right proteins, the right types of carbs, and the right types of fats and veggies. Okay, so step 2, if you're not doing this right now, add vegetables to every meal. Now, what do I mean by vegetables? I mean green leafy vegetables. Let me give you my favorites because these are the easiest, okay? Cucumbers or pickles, very easy. Celery, very easy. Green beans or asparagus or lettuce, onions and mushrooms and zucchini are all wonderful. Now, you have to be cautious because, and we're going to make a whole video about this, in the 20 years I've been working with women, especially in menopause, many women's bodies have very interesting, complex, weird reactions to certain foods. And these foods can actually cause you to get inflamed and gain weight. Some of these foods are vegetables. And these are like some of the cruciferous ones like broccoli and cauliflower, kale, spinach, tomatoes. And so these you have to be careful of because I can't tell you how many clients I've had over the years that were making kale shakes and adding raw spinach to their smoothies, and they're eating broccoli because everyone's saying how great it is. Well, I'm going to tell you, in many cases, that was what was causing these women to gain weight and preventing them from losing weight. So while I do recommend veggies at every meal, you have to be cautious, and I would use the ones that I just mentioned. You can go back and listen to that in the video. So be cautious, but you do want veggies at each meal. Now, what that does, those vegetables have a lot of soluble but also insoluble fiber, and that slows the digestion process down. That means when things are going into your blood, they go into the blood much more slowly, and this prevents blood sugar spikes. This will really help balance out your insulin, okay, and reverse the insulin resistance. Now, the third is timing. What time of day should you eat certain foods but not eat those foods at other times of day? Listen, this is critical. Your body changes throughout the day. All of ours do. Your cortisol levels change throughout the day. Your metabolic rate changes throughout the day. Your melatonin changes throughout the day. And guess what else? Your insulin sensitivity changes throughout the day. So when you eat certain foods is critical. Anytime you're eating food and carbs and you're getting glucose into the blood. And by the way, the body will convert any food into glucose. It can convert protein, fats, and carbs into glucose. They're getting stored in your muscles and liver. So through the day, those storage units kind of fill up, and this is what causes you to become more insulin resistant towards the end of the day. That's a very simplified view of that. So timing, you want to make sure you're eating the right foods in the right combination at the right time. One quick thing you can do is just cut out any carbs after around 4 or 5 p.m. That means no carbohydrates with dinner, no fruits, no grains like rice, pasta, no peas or corn, these types of things. Cut those out. Just have the green leafy vegetables and a really good quality protein. Now, what about fats? Because there's a lot you don't know about fats, and this is number 4. There's 10 different types of fats. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you have trans fats, you have certain types of saturated fats, certain types of unsaturated fats. There's omega-9, omega-6, omega-3. They're all going to interact with your body differently. Right now, as I'm making this video, there's a lot of people saying how we got it wrong. Saturated fats are fine. They're great. You should have more of them. They don't hurt the body. That's not completely true. Well, they might not directly cause heart disease, but certain fats can promote insulin resistance. And again, I'll put the little card up that you can click on, the little link at the top of the video, which how keto and high-fat diet can cause insulin resistance. So you'll want to watch that video, and you can find that up there. But fats, what they can do is imagine your muscle cell. It's like this golf ball. Okay, I did a whole video on this, all right? So imagine you have this muscle cell, and you have all these little dots are insulin receptors. So the insulin comes in with a glucose molecule on it, and it goes and locks up to one of those receptors, like a key in a lock, and it opens up the cell to put that glucose in. Well, what happens is if you eat too many fats, and they're the wrong kinds of fats, this is what happened to Stacy, by the way, you're clogging, you're dulling these little receptors now, and so it can't connect. What happens then is that insulin backs up in the blood. You get these big insulin spikes, and it ends up storing the glucose or other fatty acids in your blood as fat. This is a form of insulin resistance. Okay, so fats you got to be careful of. You need fat. You shouldn't cut out fat. You shouldn't try to go ultra low fat. You got to get the right kind of fat. Everyone says, oh, the omegas, the unsaturated fats are the key. No, they're not. Most unsaturated fats will cause inflammation. If you're getting your fats from nuts or seeds or oils, that is the wrong place to get your fats. That will cause inflammation. It will make your body worse, especially as a woman. Now see, if you're watching this right now and you're a woman over 50, then you know the rules that apply to other folks, men and young women, don't apply to you. Your bodies are different, and I've spent 20 years figuring this out. So you got to eat the right types of fats. Now, where would you start? Start with some fish. Now, people say, well, all the omega-3s are good. They're not, especially for women. Things like flaxseed and ALA, these don't do well with women's bodies, especially women over 50. So you really don't want those to be your primary source of fats. But you want fish. Why not fish oil? Because it's not complete. When you have fish, it's a whole food. There are other compounds and other nutrients in the fish that cause those fatty acids to go certain places in the body and to fulfill certain roles rather than getting stored as fat. And they do help with inflammation and can help with insulin resistance. But eating fish is very different than taking fish oil. It's very weird, I know, but it is different. If you absolutely detest fish and you hate it, you could get away with fish oil, but it's not nearly as good. Now, how much fish do you need? How often do you need it? Once or twice a week, that's it. That's all you need to put in enough omega-3s into your body to start reversing that insulin resistance. All right, let's look at number 5, the type of exercise. When you're insulin resistant, the problem is your body has now a hard time burning fat. Why? Because your insulin levels are constantly cranking up too high. That prohibits or stops your body from accessing your fat as fuel. So this means if you do any kind of high intense exercise, whether it's weight training, interval training, running, sprinting, climbing, stair stepping, whatever, if you're getting your heart rate up too high, that will actually burn off too much sugar in your blood. And maybe you've experienced this where you start exercising, you get all like nauseous and dizzy and lightheaded after just 10 or 20 minutes, and you're like, oh man, I feel terrible. This is because your body's burning off too much of the sugar in your blood. This is why you'll hear some people say online, are you a sugar burner or a fat burner? And if you're insulin resistant, your insulin is cranking so high that you're always in this sugar or glucose burning mode. So low intense exercise is actually better initially to start producing, getting your body to produce certain enzymes that will switch your body over so it can start accessing some of that stored fat and using the fat as fuel instead of only the carbs and sugar. Now, that's not a permanent thing. So this is why when I work with clients, we're constantly assessing where their body's at, because if I have a client who's starting, who's insulin resistant, we pick the type of exercise to get them out of the insulin resistance first. We got to heal their body. Then we can optimize it, add in some of these other types of exercise, because now their body's producing the right hormones and enzymes to be able to use fat as fuel and not just soak up the glucose from the blood and make you feel all sick. All right, now bonus tip, size. It's not what you think, okay? Size. The size of your meal is important. When you're insulin resistant, your body is almost like hypersensitive to what comes in. And so if you have a big meal, that's going to cause a big insulin spike. Well, we're trying to reverse that. So what we need to do is shrink. We need shrinkage. We need to shrink the size of the meal so that it's smaller throughout the day and you never cause any big spikes. So you need the right meal size. And that's why I say the key to everything, and I'll put up another link at the end of this video. You've got to check this out. Next video, we're going to be talking about gut issues, and you need to address it. We're going to talk about how to fix the most common gut issues, because that can actually cause insulin resistance and a slew of other things that will prevent you from losing weight. So you're going to want to click on that. I'm also going to put up the video about the food quadrant, because the key is this. You've got to eat the right food at the right time in the right combination, and the meals have got to be the right size. When you do that, it's like putting all the little pieces of the puzzle together, and you open up the body's ability to burn fat. You activate your body's fat burning mechanism. You crank up the metabolism. You'll reverse that insulin resistance naturally. Now, if you're type 2 diabetic, can you reverse that? Yes, you can. What about if you're type 1 diabetic? Unfortunately, that's genetic, but if you do this right, you can actually reduce the amount of insulin you'll need, because your body will be, your blood sugar and insulin will be so stable. So here's what to do now. We're going to splash up some videos. One is all about how to fix gut issues. Definitely watch that. That is a bottleneck. If you've had trouble losing weight, especially if you're a woman over 50, that's a huge issue. And that, by the way, is the cause of most chronic disease and autoimmune disorders. Also, look at the video for the food quadrant so you really start understanding some of these keys with the videos. You absolutely can reverse insulin resistance. You can get your body to burn fat faster and easier than ever before, even if you're in menopause. I work with women all the time. I've been doing this for 20 years. Women over 50 in their 60s, even their 70s, you can always do it. It just, the rules of the game change, and you've got to change what you're doing. All right, take a look at these other videos, and I'll see you next time. Take care.